Hello, I'm Ryan F9 and this up here is Chemin de la Slouce. It's probably my favorite road in the Eastern Townships. Now, this road up here is really popular with off-road riders, and so I wanted to make today's vlog something along those lines. So, I'm going to be talking about two-strokes. Specifically, why don't we see two-stroke bikes anymore very much? Who killed the two-stroke bike? Okay, let's get moving. Traction control is off. Okie dokie. Oh! My friend Luke showed me this road last year, and I'm so glad he did, because it is friggin' killer. It's basically like a very loose gravel, almost like a dirt racetrack, this thing. It just twists and turns and goes up and down, and it's so fun. So, discussion of two-strokes, I'm going to start with some numbers. So, in 1985, it was a pretty groovy year. I wasn't alive, but that's what I hear. And the CR500 Honda in that year produced 66 horsepower and weighed 105 kilograms, which is pretty good, especially considering that the 2015 Honda CRF 450R, flagship of its own day last year, produced, like 53 horsepower and weighed 110 kilograms. Anyway, bottom line is, pretty. We've gone backwards in a couple key areas, moving from two strokes to four strokes. Oh! Woo! Nice. We are going to stay on Chemin de la Slouce. I love how a shoulder check out here, man. Habits are good, habits are good. Woo! So, so we moved backwards. You can whine on about, rideability and electrical gizmos and all that stuff, but at the end of the day, you can't really hide the fact that we've moved backwards in a couple key areas, and that's weird. So what the hell happened? Well, conspiracy theorists claim that someone killed the two-stroke. This claim that corporate greed killed the two-stroke, or if they're sort of really nuts, like tinfoil hat type nuts, they'll claim that Honda just killed the two-stroke. Oh, it's nice and tacky today from last night's rain, which is good, because when this is dusty, this stuff is just really soft all in here. I disagree. I don't think corporate greed murdered the two-stroke. What the conspiracy theorists are on about is that four strokes are expensive, and two strokes are cheap. Two strokes have very few moving parts. You can roll them off the factory lines for pretty much nothing. A half-drunk amateur mechanic can rebuild it between races. They're pretty awesome for us, but not so awesome for the corporations. Whereas four strokes, oh man, I'm not surprised that Suzuki and Kawasaki and Honda and Yamaha kind of drool over racing four strokes. Bear in mind now that I'm not talking about trail thumpers, like the XR 100 or whatever. Those are freaking bulletproof, but a racing motocross four stroke, come on, right? They don't produce as much horsepower as comparable two strokes per cubic centimeter, so they just have to move really fast. And they have way more complex pieces, way more moving parts in the engine, so you basically have to get a very complex engine moving really fast. And so that means that you have to make it out of very light materials, or else it's hard to get that many things moving quickly enough and spooling up like a two-stroke engine. So essentially what you're left with is very expensive, very lightweight, fairly fragile materials, lots of them moving very, very quickly in a racing four-stroke engine. In other words, kaboom! Your bike is somewhat made to explode. So that's good for the corporations. They cost a lot, racing four strokes, to buy brand new. You have to take it back to the factory every 15 hours because they're so damn hard to work on. And then eventually, when it does blow up, you're gonna have to... I think this is Chemin de la Slouce. We'll stay on this one. Eventually, when it does blow up, you're gonna have to go buy a new one again, because buying a used racing four-stroke is like buying a grenade with the pinpole. It's just not a very safe thing to do, in my humble opinion. You can do it, no problem, but in my opinion, it's a little bit risky. So there's the money side of things. You can see why corporations might want us on four strokes, but I mean, this is 1985, remember, right? How do you sell the public on a motorcycle that is slower and more complicated and heavier and harder to work on than what people are using already. That's a tricky thing to do. This road is just so fun. I mean, I don't even know what to say. I mean, normally, like, you know, road has good bits and bad bits, but this entire thing, you'll see we're going to ride this from one end to the other today. And the whole thing is absolutely brilliant. I am leaving one long track straight down this road because I'm spinning on my back tire pretty much the whole way. That's fantastic. So I'm sold on this road, but how do you sell the masses on two-strokes? Well, you sell their heroes first. If you can get AMA motocross racers on four-strokes, then, you know, I mean, we're lemmings. We're gonna buy into them too if we see our heroes on them. So that's basically what they did. Manufacturers pressured the AMA into allowing the double displacement handicap, meaning that 450cc four-strokes, came in a little hot over that hill, could now race against 250cc two-strokes. And almost overnight, everyone switched over. I mean, even purists like Bubba Stewart couldn't resist an extra 200 cc's for very long. And so, yeah, so that's how all the pros ended up on four-strokes. It's not necessarily, I mean, you know, people are like, oh, Honda, they bought the AMA and they slipped NyQuil into the two-strokers porridge and blah, blah, blah. It's not that bad. I mean, the manufacturers did pressure, but the environmentalists were also sharpening their pitchforks for, and their solar-powered torches, no doubt, for a two-stroke witch hunt. And so they thought that it might save some polar bears if we had more four-strokes in, slideways! In professional racing. There's also the MMA. It was probably just a good-natured decision to try to mix things up a little bit. So it's not all bad. But either way, the handicap went through and everyone switched on to four-strokes overnight. Now here's the suspicious thing, and this is where I will get just a tiny smidgen conspiratorial myself, is that once manufacturers started having their racers on four-strokes, they stopped producing two-strokes. And you gotta ask yourself, why? I mean, Mercedes doesn't stop producing the S-Class because they also have an F1 car. It's not like Honda couldn't afford to produce both racing and consumer technology. And the answer here, I think, is yes, it's the money. If Kawasaki doesn't have to homologate a KX250 for racing use, then they don't have to make one. And if we're happy enough to see Ricky Carmichael on a two-stroke and buy one ourselves, then why would they keep making two-strokes, right? I mean, four-strokes are more expensive, and if we're not going to complain too much, the manufacturers are just going to go that route, which is basically what happened. Never mind that we actually have to buy them and we don't have a team of mechanics to build them and put them back together for us, but whatever. If we see our idols on the magazines on four-strokes, I'm gonna buy one. That's basically what the public said. So I think we're just coming to the end of this road. And here is the end of the story, the moral of the story. Did corporate greed murder the two-stroke? No, we did, because they're tied to supply and demand. We are not. If we all got together and rallied and demanded our two-strokes back, then we could have had them, but we didn't rally. We were happy enough to go the four-stroke way at first, and now we're basically crushed under the weight of the corporation's cash cow because we're pretty much stuck with racing four-strokes at this point. That is the end of Chemin de la Slouce. Now, the good news is two-strokes might actually come back from the dead. I mean, right now, there's only two major manufacturers still making a full-size two-stroke, and the blue one is actually just a decade-old motorcycle with shiny plastics, but KTM is actually pushing the ball forward, so, yeah, I mean, who knows? I mean, maybe we'll get a two-strokes Brop coming down Chemin de la Slouce again sometime soon. Now, I didn't actually see the human-sized birds today, but other than that, Chemin de la Slouce was fantastic.